Oh, what's good, my man in society? 2 videos, same day, right? It's just that the other video was supposed to be for my other channel, but I accidentally uploaded to this channel, so I was just like, fuck it, I'll just leave it and I'll just, do it because I already told my subscriber I was going to talk about this, right? Because he had shot me. He had to ask if I had seen the Gringo Papi special by Brandon Shaw, and I hadn't. As a matter of fact, when he first hit me up, I didn't even know who Brandon Shaw was, right? um, so that was a few weeks ago, right? And I caught up to speed, and I watched the special, right? And I actually was looking. I see a lot of people made videos about it. I know I'm late to the train. I never do stuff because it's trending. I always talk about subjects, when I just come across them. So I'm not for the, being like everybody else and doing all that, right? I'm not a sheep. But so I scoped it out, and I seen a lot of people were grilling on him, saying he's the worst comedian ever. This is the worst, comedy skit or show, whatever, ever, and yada yada yada. And I'm not a person to let people um, cloud my judgment or change my opinion or to, you know, manipulate, my views. So, I was seeing people's perspective and hearing it all, right? Now, I'm not too fond of the individual, right? Because he's a compulsive liar, right? But I'm not one of those people that just because, you dislike somebody or disagree with somebody, now you're going to fucking literally, pick at everything about them, right? Which is something that I see a lot of people when they were critiquing him. It's what they do, right? Like, just because I guess they dislike the individual for the way he is, they just like any little thing, they just like blow it out of proportion, right? Like they exaggerate. So I'm not one to do that, right? And I'm able to, point out the good in individuals if they have him, right? So I'm not somebody who's just like a hater or let my emotions get the best of me when it comes to giving my opinion on something, right? Now, if you're not familiar with Brandon Shaw, he is actually white, so don't be confused by the title of his comedy series or show or whatever, right? um, but he's married to a Mexican, but he's white, and he used to be a UFC fighter, mediocre, right? But he said it wasn't for him and decided to be a comedian because Joe Rogan said he would be good at it. Right? And I seen them. Now, here's my perspective. Not so much on his first one, right? Because I didn't find that one funny at all either, right? It's not so much that. It's just that the individual's like, his humor is like immature humor, right? It's like something that maybe a high schooler will find funny, right? A lot of gay jokes, a lot of, sexual jokes, really jokes with no giving no thought, right? Like, some examples is like he said that, he had came across Hulk Hogan's sex tape and now he owes it to Hulk Hogan to jack off to his sex tape. I don't know. He found that funny. I don't know. Um, shit like that, right? That's not really funny at all, right? But the one that caught my attention was the Gringo Papi one, right? Because of the Mexican flag and stuff like that, and people were saying that he's racist towards Mexicans. And I was actually looking for maybe like a Mexican, YouTuber who had probably already did the review for his thing, and I couldn't find one, right? Other people that were critiquing him that were saying he's racist were, white, African American, Asian, Indian. So I was like, well, I'll get my thoughts, right? Like the homie said, and from a Mexican, right? Who's, so I wouldn't say so much that he's racist, right? I didn't find it like, it didn't come off as a racist comedy thing, right? I felt like he was taking a lot of shots at the raza, right? Probably because of his relationship standing with his wife, right? I guess they weren't, I don't know if his marriage is falling apart or they weren't on good terms, right? And she's the Mexican one, obviously, right? So maybe, his anger towards that, right, is the reason why. Because normally when a comedian goes on and does a skit, right, and he's clowning on another ethnicity, um, you know, he tends to, focus in on a joke, right, and then he just like moves on, right, or he makes it clear that it's all jokes, but that it's all in good humor, right? But Brandon Shaw didn't do that, right? It was just like insulting the culture, insulting the culture, insulting the culture, and he stayed focused so much in on that. Like you would think, okay, that's quite a lot of Mexican jokes already, right? He focused a majority of his thing on the insulting man because it wasn't even funny, It wasn't like racist, but it wasn't funny. He was trying to be funny, making fun of the way that supposedly Mexicans talk, like I have said all my life, like they all say we sound like Speedy Gonzalez. You know what I mean? Stereotyping, raza, right? And with the food and like I said, it just wasn't funny though. It wasn't even because he was insulting, like because I could laugh, right? Like when Aries Spears did it to on his special, right, about the raza, that made me laugh, right? He was looking at the fucking menu like it was Family Feud, hey, the chicken and weenie. So I could laugh when people are clowning the raza. I have a sense of humor, right? Even though I don't really show it. I can, take jokes. But his jokes just weren't funny, though. It was just like, and they weren't even so much jokes, more like insults, right? Like, he was just insulting, the way we talk, the food, and just the stereotyping, right? So it wasn't funny, but I wouldn't say that it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. He's saying that, like, this shit should be canceled. Like, it wasn't to that, right? Like, other people are making it seem. Yeah, but he sounded like a hater, Um, but I wouldn't say to the point where people are like making an uproar, right? Especially he said something about hot Cheetos. I really didn't even find that line racist at all. You know what I mean? Like, and that's one thing that a lot of people on that made videos about this, focused in on. And I'm like, bro, it's not a big deal, you know. And I'm Mexican saying this, right? So, you know, I don't really see, the racist, like people say, yeah, he sounded like a hater, sounded like he didn't really, he's not too fond of raza, right? Which, is strange because of the name of the, special and the Mexican flag. You would think that, he's for the raza or that he's trying to, paint himself to be raza, right? But, so that, I guess, I don't know, he could be trying to, like, clown or, cap, I really don't see it that way, right? I legitimately think that he thought that those shits were going to be funny or what he was saying was funny. Because maybe he finds it funny. Because maybe that's how he sees the raza, right? But like I said, it wasn't so much that it was insulting. It was just dumb humor. Like, it was just dumb. It wasn't that it was so much, like, bad. It was just dumb. It was immature. So I just didn't find it funny at all. Like I said, in the two movies that I seen of his, I'm not, like I said, trying to, be another person that's coming and insulting the individual. It's just that they weren't funny, though. And not because, they just weren't funny because he's just immature, like his jokes are just like something you would hear a high school kid say, right? And like a lot of the gay jokes and penis jokes, and it's like, yeah, like no creativity at all, so it's just like, they weren't like other comedians when they go on there and they're telling the story. As they're telling the story, they're like sprinkling jokes, throughout the stories and shit like that. Like his is just like from one random ass, gay joke to another. And it's like, And literally that's the whole entire thing, right? In his first one, this one, I wouldn't say that it was so much racist, right? But yeah, it wasn't good in my personal opinion. But what do you guys think? Have you guys watched it? Have you guys heard of it? Leave your opinions in the comments, right? Because, I couldn't find a person that was raza that actually talked about it, right? To get other raza's perspective. Maybe other raza out there found it racist, but I personally didn't, right? He just came off as a hater and not funny at all. But that's my opinion. Shadow, we out.